join a group of people. We'll go cutting in the River Isle in Somerset. We make pilgrimage down to Isle Abbots every June or July, and we spend about 4 days in the river with wetsuits with sickles and cut what should hopefully be my rush stocks for the year. My name's Rosie Farey and I'm a rush basket maker from North Wales. I started basket making about 12 years ago, but really I think it started long before then. My mum's been a basket maker for about 40 years. She incorporates plaited rush in her work, so rush was always something that was available to me, and I think I learned a lot from her growing up. But she's a willow basket maker, but I knew that willow was not something that I didn't have quite the affinity with. I did an art degree in Bristol. It was drawing and applied arts, and I finished that in 2011, and I moved back to Wales in 2012, and it was when I was moving back and going through all of my stuff that I found a little tiny rush basket that I'd made when I was about 8 years old, and it all kind of went from there. It took me quite a long time to copy that basket, and so my 22-year-old self wasn't quite as clever as my 8-year-old self. But I set out copying it. Yeah, that's kind of got me to where I am now, and 12 years later I'm still making. I learned the very few basic techniques and then just honed them in and made baskets as small as possible. So miniatures has been my thing for about 10 years. But now I feel like I'm needing a little bit of change. I'm moving towards much bigger pieces, concentrating now on rush bags and things like that, and traditional baskets as well. So the Havey, which is a Scottish fisherman's bait basket, which I've learnt to make a few years ago, and also the Irish turf basket, which is a basket that supposedly was used to keep peat blocks in by the fire in Ireland. So those are things that I'm now kind of transitioning towards. I predominantly use common club rush, which also gets called bulrush, which I harvest myself from Somerset. So I join a group of people. We'll go cutting in the River Isle in Somerset. We make pilgrimage down to Isle Abbots every June or July, and we spend about 4 days in the river with wetsuits with sickles and cut what should hopefully be my rush stocks for the year. I also use a combination of other forage materials for my smaller pieces, like soft rush and crocosmia and things like that, and other soft fibrous leaves, whatever I can forage from my surroundings. I think the real reason is probably I'm slightly lazy and don't want to wait a week for my materials to be ready. Rush is far more immediate. I can dampen it down, and within 2 hours I've got something that's weavable. It's the soft silkiness of the material and how it feels in my hands, and I get quite excited about the different textures of the rush. But yeah, a nice soft piece of rush is something that I get quite happy about. Because it's quite a soft material when it's wet, I work on moulds. It doesn't really hold its shape so well until it's dried, so yeah, I weave on mostly wooden mould, and then take the mould out when I've finished, and it dries to a much more rigid shape. Growing up in rural North Wales and living, I live up a track that you can't drive up, so I have to walk up. Both my brothers live very close by, and I live in a little place I built myself. And I think, I've always been creative, but I think it was quite important that I use natural materials and materials that I can harvest myself. For a long time, when I started my weaving, I was, ringing up. There's a woman in Bedfordshire. I used to ring her up and order rush from her, but I felt quite detached from my materials and where they came from. So I then discovered this group that go cutting, so that kind of gave me much more an insight into the materials that I use. I think coming from somewhere rural, my dad's a timber framer and a sawmiller who uses local woods. I think that's quite important to have that relationship with the materials that I use, even though I recognise that it's not a material that's easily found locally to me in North Wales. There is some, but not in abundance, but it was definitely that connection to my materials is something that's quite important to me.